Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're taking a look at the January dev blog by Aaron for Illuvium, and I'm going to just summarize it. I suck at reading, so I read through this twice. It says it's a 10-minute read. It took me about 20 minutes each time. Pretty much around it now, so I'm just going to really summarize it. If you do want to read it, I'll leave a link to it in the description. You can go ahead and read through it. But basically, at the start here, he goes through an intro, basically talks about the Discord and the SILV hack and how that was a bit of a trouble at the start, but they're getting on top of it. They've also expanded the open beta, the internal beta, to all of their team members for testing, sorting out bugs and stuff like that. And they have had over 100,000 applicants to the closed beta, which to me is a really strong sign for where the game is going. When you've already got 100,000 players wanting to play in a closed beta when you haven't even started like any marketing or anything like that. So I think that is a great start for a potential player base when the game does come. Obviously, when the game comes, not all of those players will remain with the game, but you should have more than that come in, a lot more come in through advertising and stuff like that. Keeping in mind when we do launch, it'll be open beta, so not as much advertisement, but I still think the game will have no issues with player base. Then he goes into Illuvium Arena, which is the tentative name for the auto battler. I think they're trying to name every section of it individually, because as they produce more and they get into, like, you know, Illuvium first person shooter, let's say they want to call that something. So, you know, they're giving them all names, but basic summary, the UI is nearly done. They're waiting for player feedback to sort of optimize it on what people want. So it'll still look a bit, you know, not completely polished when you play in the beta, but they will finalize things once they get a bit more feedback. They optimize the movement and efficiency. Basically, this means less computing power, which reduces the cloud costs. So it's not something that really you and me are going to notice and take a big, take a big step towards, or like really go, wow. But it's shit that saves money for the DAO, and they can put money elsewhere. Then he goes on that the music and sounds are on point, basically, and I definitely see that when we look at that, the animation of like the Gaudi, the big robot coming down, and the audio behind it, like all the audio. I've said it all along from the first trailer. The audio is fantastic in this project, so big shout out to the audio team as always. He says he's got the power-ups in the game, but not the augments. The augments should follow soon, hopefully into the beta once it's out. Maybe halfway through they implement those augments. Now, what the power-ups are, my understanding is the power-ups are the ones when in the drafting phase you get like the power-ups that come up and you can bid for them. I think those are the ones that are done, and then the augments are the ones that, you know, from farming materials and stuff, you put these augments in your deck, and after you place your hero, your alluvials, I'm so used to saying heroes in other games, but after you place your alluvials, then your opponent places theirs, you see each other's, and then you have the power-ups, which are the augments that you can then attach to your alluvials, and those are the ones that are almost done but still coming in a bit later on. Next up, they're into the final stages of organizing the synergies, both the class and affinity synergies. We've been seeing a heap of leaks of them in from Ben normally on Fridays. I don't think he's done them in the last couple of Fridays, but we have got a lot of them. I may do a video just covering all of that at some stage. Might just wait for the beta to come out so that we have like finalized forms of it. But we will see. Moving on from that, they've been fixing a lot of bugs. Where am I? I'm trying to keep it on screen as well. I've got notes on the side here. The game backend is almost complete as well. Balancing is getting there, but they need to wait for all features like the augments. So it's hard to balance combat is basically the gist when, you know, maybe an augment, when you equip it to something, makes it completely broken. So you have to balance for everything that can happen. And until they get those in, they can't really finalize balancing, but they've got it to a decent point. And then finally, he says they're going all out with the VFX for the game experience. He said beta will still have some placeholders, but they're trying to make it as immersive as possible and give like visual cues to certain things so the battle is more engaging when you're in it. It is an auto battle, so once you start the battle, you're not doing stuff. So having it really appeal visually is going to be a big standpoint for it. Okay, so moving on to Illuvium Overworld, the tentative name for the Overworld gameplay. Once again, just going to revise some notes here. They're going to be delivering, obviously, the Sanctum Mesa along with the 3 other regions. The Crimson Wastes is almost done. That's the one that Grant has been working on streams and stuff like that. He goes on to talk about how the world will evolve with the game. Like, you start off and it's like barren, desolate, and there's nothing there, but eventually it will develop because obviously the ships crash, people are inhabiting, and then the ship gets turned into the Leviathan arena and all that stuff. So it'll happen over time. I really love this type of thing in games where like it sort of changes. It kind of reminds me of Cataclysm in WoW when you like playing in the same world, but it's different now. For those that played WoW and are nerds like me. Moving on from that, we've got the mining is more responsive and fun. So I think that's a very important thing. Some people may look at this and go, yeah, okay, whatever. But for me, when a large portion of gameplay, and I think this is just my assumption for scholarships, I feel like when the game comes out and you've got guilds giving scholarships, I think some people will literally be there to mine, and that will be their job as such, to mine, because you'll have a lot of players that just literally only want to catch alluvials. They don't want to waste energy on mining, so you'll have this massive group of people that just have to mine to provide resources to those who just want to capture, which I think making this as fun as possible, but even for your average player who does both, having that make the overworld feel more enjoyable, I think is a very key thing. So I'm really glad they're working on that as well. Next up, they got some map improvements like heat mapping, showing like concentrated areas on the map that have like more things that you're targeting and stuff like that, and it's something that you'll be able to upgrade along the way, which is really cool. They've got the storage locker. So the storage locker I hadn't actually heard about until I saw this, and he said, for those that don't know, you can't sell something unless it's in your storage locker. For me, because I've been playing a bunch of these other crypto games, I've noticed that once you list something on the market, you can't actually use it in the game. However, with some of them, you list it on the market and it's still in your game client until you reboot the game. So I believe, and I could be wrong on this, that this is a way that in the game you put it in your storage locker, then it's locked away so you can't use it in the game, and then it can be sold. It sort of gets away from that thing of the asset being in the game but actually not your asset anymore because it's on the market. So pretty basic thing, I think, but it's cool how they're like making actual practical uses for these things. They're making like law reasons for them. Once again, I could be a little bit wrong on that one. Apologies if I am. They're up to 4 outsourcing teams producing assets to get all the 4 starting zones ready. He said the Crimson Waste is almost done, and that, like I said earlier, is the one that Grant has been working on. He's got new props that they've been developing that have never been seen before that are sort of meant to go around the world to make you just basically be like, what the fuck is that? So I'm really keen to see what these props are. I love that sort of stuff. So that'll be cool. The battle boards are procedural, so if they make changes, it's going to be easier. I think that's basically just more of a back-end thing so that they're quite uniform, and if they need to make adjustments, they all uniformly go across. Once again, technical. I just want to play games. But yeah, and then they've been developing the songs in ambience or ambiance, however you want to say it. And I think, and the goal is that, like he says, the ambience will very much define the overworld, and I think that is a big thing. Being like just like the songs, the sounds, the lighting, the experience, I feel like it is a big thing. And like I said about improving that mining to make the game flow more fun, these little things that sound little, I think are absolutely huge when you go into it for actual gameplay purposes. Okay, now we have Illuvium Zero, a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to go through these ones fairly quickly because some of the stuff after this I sort of talked about in my previous video based on what we heard from Kieran. But for Illuvium Zero, we'll get updates on it in the next few weeks. It's nearly finished, just needs some minor art changes and stuff like that. And then they got to make sure that the games sync up well before they can obviously deploy it and make it work. So they just got to do those final touches, and then it is good to go. The private beta app, they're talking about how like the private beta app will become like a proper game client where you download all the games for all the titles that they build in the future. So that'll be good to see. Moving past that, staking V2, he says basically they're waiting on audits. He goes into a lot more depth, but basically waiting on audits. Once the audits are done, they will do an IIP, and then it'll be straight after that. And they say UI is 90% done, but they're waiting for the final audit. So basically, like I said yesterday in my other video, waiting for audits, then we'll find out more, and we should get cracking on it. Land sale, they're still working on trying to get a layer 2 solution. And basically it's going to chop and change between what they end up doing for that. I don't want to go too much into what he's written into detail. Basically, they're trying for layer 2. We'll wait and see what happens. And they basically just need to wait for the staking V2 to happen so that we can get our SILV version 2 so that we can actually use it in the land sale. So it's sort of just on hold. Hopefully they can sort out that layer 2 to avoid gas. If not, pay some gas. We'll wait and see. I'll definitely do more updates on the land sale once they finalize exactly what they're doing. Illuvitars, nearly all the art assets are done. I spoke about that in yesterday's video as well. So that's pretty good. He says the solidity features are not quite as advanced, but they won't be a blocker. The UI is also near complete. So basically it's in the same boat as everything else. We're waiting for that staking V2 to be finished. Then it's going to happen after land sale. So the Illuvitars, I don't think there's going to be any delays in them outside of the delays we're waiting for on other stuff. So that's cool. The DAO dashboard. Now, this is an interesting one. It's something that I've heard lots of conversations in the Discord about. Basically, just like sort of a nice home that, you know, for suggestions, feedback, IIPs, ICCPs, all that sort of stuff. Now, I like this idea. I personally am a big fan of not just for IIPs, but like just have a basic area where people can put suggestions and people can vote on it and you can get a general sentiment on it. Like literally just have to have emotes. And if something gets enough sentiment from the public, then, you know, it gets pushed forward to them and they have a look at it and then they can say yes or no or whatever. But yeah, I think those type of things are really, really valuable in that sense. Not just the IIPs, because they're a bit complicated. Not many people want to do that, but people still want to have input. General update story, as he always says, he can't tell us too much about the story, which I don't want to know much about the story. For those that don't know, I had a day of inside access to the Discord. I didn't look at any of the story stuff because I didn't want to get spoiled. So I'm glad they're doing that. But he says he continues to crank up the emotion by adding a small but impactful additions. I want to see people cry. I love getting emotional in games. I'm a sad prick. Give it to me. Let's go. Governance basically says our governance took a backseat in January, but February they'll have a lot more to do. Marketing. The thing that I like in this marketing is that they're going to have proper in-house created. We saw Andrew did the video for the how to apply for the beta, and I personally think this is a great step, having their own video tutorials of how to do stuff. People like video stuff more, and I don't want to make a video on how to apply for the beta. So the fact that they do it, it's so good. And I just think it's more professionalism from a company or a DAO when that stuff is like you've done it yourself and people know that that is the official way to do it and they're not getting scammed, especially in crypto where people are scared of stuff. Having the actual DAO themselves put forward these videos, it just adds confidence, and I think it's a great step. Business and partnerships, we've had over 160 applications for partnerships from influencers, yada, yada, yada. They've got 17 across 6 languages. We'll soon announce an exciting new way to reach more influencers far more effectively. We think you will love it. Moving on from that, we've got production. We are well into the transition to product-based teams. Basically what this means is that they're sort of grouping their teams up into individual goals and more managed, so that that's the way I understand it, so that they'll be able to have more concise targets on timelines and things like that, because it'll be managed more. And then he's basically saying that eventually it won't just be Kieran Grant and himself giving updates. They'll have other members from the team doing that as well. Infrastructure, main security stuff's complete. Man, they have grown the team quite a bit. So they've done a good job with the infrastructure in the back end. I did get an insight into that, and it's really well organized. And then we have the summary. Basically, he says January sucked at the start because of all the shit that went down. And unfortunately, basically, they're not going to meet the target deadline of Q1, which is the end of March, for the release of the open beta. He does say in the background, we've been working on ways to mitigate the impact of this. There is a solution that will make everyone happy, or at least as satisfied as they can be considering a delay, but I can't go into details now. Super keen to see what this is. I'm always happy to be satisfied. Please satisfy me, Aaron. Sounded wrong. Okay. Additionally, we will probably open up the game to a large audience, possibly unlimited spots as private beta 3. Everyone could experience the game, even if they weren't playing for keeps. We will confirm details ASAP as we are committed to full transparency. This is that pre-open beta that we spoke about, which I think would be a fantastic idea for people to get a feel for combat with assets that they don't own, so that they can maybe like go, oh, I really want to go catch that. I just really like it. Plus, I just want something to play, so I'm biased. So if they do it, I'll be pumped. If they don't, I'll wait. It's all good. So there you have it. January in a nutshell. If you wish to stay entirely up to date, join our Discord where the team regularly interacts with the community. This blog was born out of suggestions from chat, so please understand that your voices are heard and valued. So that's it. Links to the Discord in the description. Hopefully I didn't take too long with that. I feel like that took me a bloody long time to say. Like I said, that took me so fucking long to read. I suck at reading, but that's a pretty good update. I'm super keen on that last bit that he says, the thing to keep everyone satisfied, and also the fact that, you know, he's really pushing in on that idea of the sort of private open, the pre-open beta for everyone. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.